Hello. I was gonna say
what
what's
hello?
up. That's right. That's what I said. Hey guys, if you're listening to this, you are not a patron, but you're gonna get a little sneak peek at
they could be a patron and they're just
That's
listening. It's like I sometimes do this before I watch a movie at home. I'll watch the trailer just to give yourself a little preview. So maybe that's what they're doing.
We appreciate the support then,
Yeah.
I guess. What's about to happen is it's our preview of our bonus episode on the Untouchables, classic 1987 Brian De Palma film with costumes designed by Giorgio Armani himself. I don't know what he sounds like.
Probably that, which would make sense because this is a very Italian-heavy movie.
IH. That's what they said. But yeah, we talk about the costumes, we talk about the film, we talk about the score. There's even a couple references to some other stuff that we just recorded the episode. I totally forgot. It's already out of my mind.
Yeah, we make some funny jokes probably, but fuck, I couldn't tell you what they are. Guess you'll have to pay to find out.
That's right. Again, you'll be able to listen to our whole backlog of the Patreon episodes, which there's only like 3 because we only started the Patreon like three months ago or whatever. But yeah, I think you'll really enjoy it, and you should watch the film. And find ways to watch it. That's all I can say. Yep.
Okay, enjoy the preview.
Okay, bye-bye. So as I said earlier, this film makes a big point to say it's 1930. Like, it's not like it's the 30s, it's 1930.
It says specifically it's 1930, and I mean,
yes.
Al Capone I think was arrested in 31, so it lines up roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it kind of, it works out that way. And again, so what you guys gotta remember here is 1930 is a very unique. Every era is obviously unique. There's always gonna be trends, and I'll take a shot. There's always gonna be trends and little sartorial details that kind of point to things. And so, because it's literally the earliest 30 decade, you're gonna have elements that would point to later. You don't have to do that.
Earliest 30 decade.
It's 1930.
I guess, yeah.
Compared to 1939, the zero.
It's the beginning of the 30s.
That's right.
Yeah.
That means you will get elements from the 20s and also other elements that will potentially become what would be popular in the later 30s, mid 30s, or whatever. So. Every movie does not know what the 20s fucking look like. No, I have not seen a movie that knows what it is.
Well, because we should maybe get into the background of this movie specifically. All these costumes were designed by Armani.
Giorgio Armani.
You wrote the article. You know more of the behind-the-scenes stuff than I do.
Yeah. So, okay, in researching this article, it kind of gave me a better insight because, Armani is a designer. He has a purview of what he thinks men should look like, dress like, the silhouettes, cuts, whatever. And we all know this because, he kind of defined suits from late 70s and early 80s and onward, right? So it kind of showed me, okay, so this movie isn't supposed to be period accurate. It is what he believes would have been great in the 30s, although it ends up looking like it's fucking 1941 or whatever, just because most people, we talked about this in our group watch in the Discord, that anything for vintage, it's everything was the 40s until 1955, and then it gets briefly rockabilly and greaser, and then it just becomes Mad Men after that. But there is nothing there is no the 20s with the belted kind of feminine cuts. You don't have the 30s with the pagoda shoulders and the kind of flared leg trousers. These are all. I will admit that sometimes we are idealizing some of these things because in vintage people prize those items more. So people, when they say, "Oh, I want to dress 30s," they want to have the kind of very early swing dancing jazz age kind of cut. There were a lot of regular cuts, but this movie still kind of leans more toward the 40s again, wide, very wide, generous pleats, wide brimmed fedoras as well.
I mean, this is again, as with all period pieces, pretty nitpicky to talk about. But all the suits have a very late 40s, 50s cut. They got pretty wide lapels, low button stance.
Yep.
Long jackets usually. Early on in the 30s, jackets were cut very short.
Yeah.
They were
At least relative, yeah.
Yeah, they were usually like very very trim, like high button stance stuff like that. It's like um, Armani. It's like I don't know. It's like Armani designing his own like special world. But it can be done using details that you would have seen in the early 30s.
Yeah,
Just
and of course,
wasn't
I mean,
here.
it's also remember like Armani did love like wide cuts, so it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like why you would see it there. And I've included pictures of actual prohibition agents, pictures of Al Capone, so you could kind of see. And again, maybe to some other people, it might not be as apparent, but to me, I mean, you see the jackets here, the softer shoulders especially,
Mm-hmm.
because again, I mean, they did have padding, but it wasn't as crazy until like late 30s, 40s, and especially like later on in the 50s, And then when you compare what Al Capone, what the Untouchables has, the cuts look more like the 40s because it's
Yeah.
an 80s film, again. So yeah, let's go into each of the characters now, and you can again compare it. Feel free to compare it to the other pictures in the article. But so Elliot Ness wears a three-piece most of the time. I actually thought just based on the production images that he wore the same suit, the kind of like blue-gray kind of thing. I know something interesting to me is that seeing these characters wear that blue-gray kind of has a military feel to it. I think we mentioned that what's it called? Jerry Wooters in the Gangster Squad was an Air Force guy, so his suits or his pants have like the kind of like blue-gray kind of feel, and then Sarge, Josh Brolin has like a brownish pink kind of thing going on because military commander.
And it's also kind of similar to. I mean, he dresses similar to Josh Brolin in Gangster Squad.
Yeah, it's very plain.
Yeah.
No nonsense, because that's his character, right? So he plays. He does wear a pinstripe suit, and maybe a striped shirt, but it's always like three-piece, conservative cut. He has a very low buttoning stance. You can see that there. The good thing is that it's pretty well tailored. Like there are a couple shots you can see is like his like full trouser length, and they are hemmed to the right length. They are again more pleated and more generous than would be normal in the early 30s, or the beginning of the 30s. So that's kind of what makes it different. But it's cool. He has like a foulard tie, which looks kind of 30s, but it still looks kind of 80s too.
Well, because we were talking about this, the issue, like they get the pattern right, but they do not get like the fabric right. It doesn't have like the right texture. The cloth, it's just not the same cloth.
For most, across most, ties, I think most guys tend to go toward like woven or like or printed ties, right? And those like ancient madder, like people say, because it sounds vintage, right? Oh, it's got to be a madder tie, right? But back in the early 30s, and especially also the late 20s, brocade or jacquard silk ties were kind of what was in vogue. And
I mean there were a lot of like just like regular printed ties. But it wasn't nothing was quite as like smooth, or like had the same texture that you see in this movie.
Yeah, and again, the pattern. I mean, the pattern itself is okay, but it still looks very 80s. It's still very close together. It's very like I think Put This On had like a fun thing a couple of years ago where it says like, oh, this 80s GQ ad is what menswear is like, or what menswear could be, and it's like striped shirt, kind of bold foulard ties. It's kind of like that, which is cool, but from a period standpoint, again, not that accurate. So that's what he wears. Very plain. He wears a fedora in the same kind of shade, that kind of thing. Sean Connery's character. Oh, Malley? I don't know what his name is. I forgot. It's called Sean Connery. But he wears, so the first time you see him, he is wearing the cop uniform, because that's where he's like a beat cop who's never progressed because he's always like anti-corruption and doesn't want to play ball. But for the rest of the film, he wears like a newsboy cap, and then this weird, it's so 80s. It's like a fucking like...
Yeah, this like... Donegal corduroy.
Donegal corduroy, like belt, like half belt jacket, right? It's like a Norfolk wannabe kind of thing.
He wears that. He wears that with like a chunky like knit sweater, and then his like cop uniform shirt just buttoned up all the way.
Yep.
And then just like gray trousers.
Yeah. You know, it's like it's one of those things where when I watch this movie, I wonder how many vintage guys or even like Dapper Day guys, Dapper people, like watch the film and be like, you know what, that's what vintage is. That's what I'm gonna do, and that's something I don't like because it always takes the wrong message away. Like I think obviously they're trying to give him like a workwear sartorial kind of spin that like
I mean, it's
Bryce
like it's
kind of goes
if
toward.
you had to think in your mind, what does like a working class like old school Irish guy look like, you would probably think of an outfit similar to this. It's
I mean,
very
and
like
it's not-
stereotypical.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but I feel like again, some of the what I'm always scared of is the viewers will get the wrong idea of like the cut. Like they'll just think, oh, okay, I just do this and I'll be fine. But again, the cut is what matters here. It's very low buttoning stance. It's I don't know. I mean, it's kind of whatever.
Whoa!
Wasn't that a great preview?
That was awesome.
Did you like when I did that thing that I did?
I think that our Patreon speaks for itself. So, welcome aboard. Because presumably you've already put in your card and your financial
and then they went back to
information.
this preview and listened to the whole thing. And was like, oh, I gotta find it.
They paused before the outro began, and then they pressed play as soon as they became a patron, because they're like, wait, I need to see what else happens.
That's right. Because unlike other ones, this is not just a clip. This is also technically bonus content, and I would maybe the patrons who just avoid this preview don't listen to this, so they're missing out on this cool banter going on right here. Because they have a separate feed, because that's what you get when you become a patron of Style and Direction. And what else you get? Access to the Discord. Again, really great stuff. We've got a couple new members since the last episode, which was a month ago. But it's been great. Really been popping in there. Lots of great shopping links, lots of great discussion points, lots of great inspiration.
It's not like the biggest server, but it's pretty active. There's always things going on, people to talk to. It's very cool.
I'm very happy that again, I think when we first started, it's mentioned I had to lead some discussion, but nowadays, hey, you guys are, it's like a little ecosystem. You guys are self-sustaining a little bit there, But yeah, if you guys are interested in that, please consider contributing to our Patreon, Style and Direction. It's patreon.com/Style and Direction. Because I was about to say,
all these links are in the episode description.
Yeah. Also, again, if you listen to the episode, whether it's this one or you guys are a patron already, there is a full article that I go into more detail. Again, about my purview and my perspective.
And that's not just for patrons. That's for
everybody.
That's for the hoi polloi. Anybody can see that.
Socialism. I guess socialized content. But yeah, and also if you guys are interested, watch our Twitch twice a week, man. Lots of great stuff there too. The highlights go up on YouTube the day after.
Oh yeah, follow us on YouTube so we can get a custom URL. Because right now we don't.
That's right. And yeah, I think that's it. We'll see you guys for the next full-length episode, which will be out next week. Because that's our schedule. You guys should know that by now. And a big ups to our Sadcast fanatics. Again, our top tier. If you guys are interested in us saying your names, maybe incorrectly, contribute $10 a month. So again, thank you to Seth Peterson, Austin Malott, Eric Hall, Shane Curry, Philip Gregard, and Audrey Jessica. We really appreciate you guys. We love you.
We didn't even tell them we would say that. That's the service you get.
Again, I don't even know how many people listen to the bonus previews till the end. I don't even know that, but this is why you should. Okay. Yeah. I know MJ has to do it. I know Matt does it. I know maybe Aldous does it. But hey, you remember, ASMR is just for you, baby. Just for you.
Just for you.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.